Hey everybody, and welcome to Meals with Melissa, where we come up with healthier versions of things that we really love when it comes to health food. So let's talk a little bit about mac and cheese, because I know there's so many of you out there that really like pasta. Now, pasta's not really my thing overall, just because sometimes I find it really heavy, but once in a while, we want those comfort foods or those things that we were able to eat as we were children. So we have a great option for you. This is cauliflower mac and cheese. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, and I've already prepped a little bit just because it takes a minute, but honestly, to put the whole thing together, it takes under 20 minutes. The hardest and the most time consuming would be to actually prep the cauliflower. So I'm going to give you the recipe. I'm also going to talk about the easiest ways to do this because I've tried it a couple ways now, and there is a little bit easier option than the other, but we're going to throw it together because the cauliflower is totally ready to go. So first thing you're going to do is take a head of cauliflower, about 16 ounces, and you're going to cut it up. Now, I've done this two ways, and I'm going to tell you the one way is better than the other. So here's what I recommend, because I have done it from a full head of cauliflower. Cut it in little, because you're cutting it in macaroni-sized pieces, right? But I've also pulsed it in my Ninja, and honestly, it makes it too fine. It's going to be closer to rice, cauliflower rice, and so the best option is to cut it. So here's my tip to you. Get already pre-cut florets of cauliflower from the store, bagged, and then cut them. It takes a bit of time out of it. It's a little bit simpler and faster to put together, but you do want to cut it into macaroni-sized pieces. Pulsing it, like I said, it's just got a little too fine. That's actually what we're gonna work with today, but it'll still work out. Now, I've already taste tested this with the fam. They love it. As a matter of fact, I have been told I have to save some for somebody today so that they can try it. But I've got everything else totally ready to go. I'm gonna put my cauliflower, which has already been cooked. I've chopped it in fine pieces. Like I said, this one's actually pulsed in the Ninja. It's a little too fine, but you're gonna cook it on the stove top in water for about 5 minutes just so that it can soften up. Then you're gonna drain it really, really well. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Now this makes this very low carb and basically sugar free. Now this does not make it fat free, but of course, if you've been listening to anything that I've done in the last 6 months or so, you're gonna know that I'm not a fan of low fat, because what that does is it tends to replace all of the fats with sugars, which is a problem. That's what makes you fat. So we're gonna add heavy cream. We're putting it back on a warm burner, okay? Because of course we're gonna add a bunch of cheese and we want it to melt into that. So to that, I'm going to add 2 ounces of full fat cream cheese, okay? And I'm gonna kind of combine it in there. Now it says room temperature, but honestly, this is hot enough. It's gonna melt it pretty fast. So I'm kind of just stirring it in to make sure that it's going to get incorporated really, really well. Now to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of grated cheddar cheese and a 1/3 cup of grated Monterey Jack cheese. Now, of course, you can use whatever kind of cheeses you want. However, that being said, please don't use the artificial stuff, right? I was watching a version of Chopped the other day, and they had the spray can cheese. Oh my word, that is the most disgusting stuff. Anything that has a lot of additives, preservatives to keep it fresher longer tends to be a problem. We want some, really unadulterated cheese if possible. So, I just get the brick cheese. I'm not saying you have to go to any fancy store to get it. I just noticed that when it comes pre-shredded, a lot of times it seems to be a lot drier, and that doesn't appeal to me. So I want it to melt well. I don't want it to have any additives that keep it fresh longer. We'll just go through it faster. So no biggie. All right, so to that, I've already grated my cheeses. I've got 1 cup of cheddar and 1/3 cup of Monterey Jack, which I love Monterey Jack, so I'm not gonna complain about that whatsoever. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I probably should have used a little bit bigger pot. Now, when I did this yesterday and cut everything, it worked out a whole lot better. This is gonna get probably to be too much in the container that I'm using here to mix it up. So I'm gonna let that melt for just a second. Turn my burner back on, just so it's kind of almost like regular mac and cheese, except for you're not using those stupid little packets of disgusting cheese. Now I know you're saying, Melissa, I like those disgusting packets of cheese. Yeah, probably not your best option. For those of you who ever had homemade mac and cheese, isn't that just the way to go? I get it that kids love fast and easy, and as parents, we love that because it is fast and easy. But this doesn't really take much longer than really making it from scratch because, again, I've already figured out how to make it fast. Okay, so to that, I'm going to add a little bit of spices. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of ground mustard. No, don't use regular mustard. You're using it for the spice. This is a totally different ballgame, so I'm going to add that to my mix. Make sure I spread it out a little bit, and of course I'm going to stir really well in just a second here. So ground mustard. I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper to that. Some of the best spices, easy spices out there to use would be salt and pepper, and I think that it gets very underrated that we have to use all these other spices, but you know, fish, steak, whatever, with just some salt and pepper is pretty awesome. Okay, I'm also going to add a half of a teaspoon of salt as well. And we're almost done. Really what's gonna take any more time is just mixing it all together and allowing it to melt together so it's nice and ooey gooey cheesy goodness, right? Okay, so adding that back, making a mess. It's okay, I clean up after myself. All right, so that's everything. That's everything in there right there, right? We've got 3 kinds of cheeses, 3 different spices, the cauliflower itself, and some heavy cream. That's it. I suppose that you could use whole milk if you had to, but the heavy cream just makes it a little bit thicker, and it is it's very low carb, right? Within the keto world, they use a lot of heavy cream and cream cheese. So mixing that together, oh yeah. Still hard not to eat it all myself, right? So my son's tested this, my daughter's tested this, and my husband has asked that I leave him some for when he gets home from work today. So really all you're gonna do is mix it up, allow those cheeses to melt together, nice and warm, and that's it. Then just scoop it up and serve your family. And the great thing is they're getting a serving of a little bit healthier option with the cauliflower. Now don't think that it's no carb. Cauliflower is a little bit higher in carbs when it comes to the different vegetables. However, that is so offset by the nutrient density, which just means, you know, all the vitamins and minerals in it, so much of a healthier option than that macaroni cheese stuff that you get in a box. Now, no offense to the companies that make that. I know I know what it's for, but this really is such a healthier version of it. You know, if you've ever had just cauliflower and cheese, you're kind of just extending that into a comfort food. So there we go. And it's just melting together, and it looks and smells amazing. So if you guys have any questions, or if you try any of these recipes out, please, you know what, let me know how it goes. I love it when I get feedback, like this was a great one, this wasn't so great for our family. Hey, give me more desserts. That tends to be the direction I go because I have a sweet tooth. But also I'm really trying to give you some great ideas for quick and easy meals that your family will eat. So leave a comment below. If you have a recipe you'd love for us to try, man, pass it on. We love it. Don't make it too complicated because we don't do complicated at my house. I am not the best cook ever. Love to bake, not so great at cooking. I just try really hard, right? So you can also reach me through Facebook Messenger. I do respond. If you have a great idea, have a comment, have a question, please pass it on. I get my best ideas from you. So have an incredible weekend, you guys. And until next week, that is Meals with Melissa. Bye now.